I thought it might be a good idea to continue to complain about money and work, but this time my complaints are not about other people or industries. They're complaints about me and dumb stuff that I've done. So I was looking through some folders trying to find something, and I found this old postcard that we did probably like in 2009, 2010 for our friend's record label, Corleone Records. And we made this postcard for Brian, the owner of Corleone, to put into mail order. And it's this cool postcard. It's got those, like, you know how you see that thing where people take the type and kind of lock it up into a single block? So like everything is facing a different direction and it's like this crazy jigsaw puzzle or crossword puzzle. It was one of those deals. We did it with Letraset, like rub down lettering, like Franklin Gothic rub down lettering, and then we arranged it all. It's a cool piece. But here's the thing. Looking at it, it struck me that we spent so much time in this thing. Like days, at least days. Because I remember multiple versions of the back. I remember multiple versions of the front. Just the tweaking the type, because what we did was we took that type, scanned it, and then live traced it or image traced it in Illustrator. Those kind of type lockups, they're a hassle anyway, but imagine doing it with not even real type, so that you have to sit there and grab each little letter and move it around. It's fair to say that we spent 40 hours on this postcard, which is the kind of behavior that we engaged in all the time. Now, on the one hand, it's a nice piece. On the other hand, if you want to stay in business, you cannot spend 40 or more hours on a postcard. It doesn't make any sense. And this speaks in some ways to process. Like, these were in our days of like one idea at a time. So you'd come up with an idea and you would just try to make it work. It speaks to the part of process that also says you even have to come up with an idea in order to work. In those days, that's what we did and that's how I felt. But then the big thing is, like, we were blowing time on projects that didn't deserve the amount of time that we were spending on them. There's a couple pieces on our website. On the showcase part, there's these snowboard graphics for Compatriot snowboards. And it's got this hand-drawn shotgun thing. I easily spent 60 hours on drawing that, inking it, and then adjusting the artwork. A terrible use of time. Now, it's a cool project, don't get me wrong, and it's obviously great, like in retrospect, to have this cool project, but that's the kind of stuff that led to putting the studio on hiatus and essentially letting it, what would you call it? What do bears do? Hibernate. The studio basically hibernated. I mean, hibernation is maybe more positive. The studio was on hiatus because of dumb stuff adding up over time. And one of those things is spending 40 hours on a postcard and not realizing, like, it's a fucking postcard. It's just getting, it's not even like it's got to sell that hard. It's just a cool thing to put in mail order. It didn't need to be as intense as we made it. This is an important thing to remember. Like, your portfolio is not going to be made of postcards. Like, if you're starting out, do a good job on the postcard so that you get more work from whoever hires you to do the postcard. But like, what I would do is I would treat postcards like I was designing like a poster, something with more impact that's seen by people, that's like bigger and sexier. Like, if you do an offset printed poster, let's say, in a certain number, and that poster is halfway decent, you can probably sell copies of that later. There's no world in which you can sell a postcard unless it's just a pretty picture. You're not selling a postcard for a record label, but you might sell a poster for one. That's probably a good litmus test of, should you be putting all kinds of energy into something as if it's a portfolio piece when it's just not the kind of work that's ever going to be a portfolio piece. And this is a lesson I did not learn forever. Part of me is praying that I'm misremembering this and that we actually did this in 2008, just because that makes it further away and it puts my stupidity further in the rear view. So try on everything, but there should be like this big Venn diagram of like amount of time I have and amount of time this thing deserves, and they should kind of barely overlap, not overlap wildly, where a simple little postcard becomes a project that is worth in the neighborhood of, I don't know, $6,000. Like, that's crazy. A challenge to you wonderful viewers. What's a thing that you didn't know at the time was actually a fairly inconsequential project, and you were treating it like it was the thing you were going to hang your hat on for the next 5 years? All right, take it easy.